To build or to buy? That is the question. This is part two. In the last video, we were looking at some of the pros and cons of the hardware side of projection mapping, to either do it yourself, piece several of the components together, or to buy something that has all the hardware and equipment you need bundled together already. So this is going to be focused more on the software side, particularly with show design, to either purchase a pre-designed show and then map to your house, or to try to build your own show. And once again, there's no right or wrong answer. These are just some of my thoughts and considerations that I've had. And feel free to let me know what other considerations that you're thinking of when you're trying to decide. And what's great is that not only is there not a right or wrong answer, it's also not an or. You can do both. You can purchase shows that you like and build your own. But here's some of the things I've observed and have thought about as we're looking to build a show ourselves or looking to buy one. If we're going to build the show ourselves, the biggest pro, I think, is the flexibility and the creativity. You can do whatever you want. It's your show, and you can piece it together how you want. You can find the assets that you want. You can get the look and feel, the style, all of that you want, because it's all in your hands. You're limited only by your imagination and your skill. So those would be the main pros for creating your own show. Cons, it's a steep learning curve. You know, it's maybe not as hard as it thinks when you see something like a Disneyland projection and it seems really complicated. It is, but it's also pretty achievable. It's just got a learning curve. It's a steep learning curve at first, but then once you're over it, then you can do a bunch of different things. So if you're going to start building your own show, expect to have a big learning curve. Another con is the software costs. That tends to be pretty minimal. On the next slide, I'll show you some of the costs of software, but there's some costs associated with building your own show. Technical bugs and frustrations is a con. There is not a smooth, in my opinion, not a smooth path to getting a good projection mapping show. No matter what software you use, no matter what system you use, you're going to have bugs and frustrations. And part of that's just inherent to this being a pretty new way to decorate. I get frustrated with Adobe often, whether it's renderings that take a long time or that fail. Like I upgraded to Adobe 2022 and then all of a sudden my render times were taking 10 times as long, and trying to figure out how to do what's in your head. So regardless of which path you're on, expect some frustrations. Be patient with yourself and with the process. It'll be worth it in the end. And the last con of building your own show is just the time it takes. Finding assets, the videos and pictures that you can use is a big part of that time. Trying to find just the right ones is difficult. And to create the show itself can take a big chunk of time. And so that's something to keep in mind too when we look at the pros and cons of buying a show. There is significant time investment from creators. Like our main Halloween flagship show, our very first one we did, took 5 months to build. So that's a con, is it can take some time to build these. So let's look at some of the software options, and this is not this is not an all-inclusive list. These are just some of the ones that I've used. But if you're going to build your own show, if you want to use the Adobe suite, the Adobe After Effects, if you do just After Effects, it's a $21 a month subscription. Or if you want their whole creative suite that has all their apps, then it's $55 a month. DaVinci Resolve is another popular one, and it has a free version, or you can pay a one-time $300 lifetime license to get some of their more advanced features. Then Luxedo, it depends. If you get just the software, then it's $100 a month subscription, or if you get it bundled with their hardware package. So more information on that can be in the other video with the pros and cons of buying versus building for hardware. And then there's a bunch of other software programs out there too, but this just gives you a rough idea that there's going to be some software costs incurred. It's relatively low compared, when you're spending $1,000 on a projector, $1,500 on a projector, then these costs aren't a big addition to that. Some resources to help if you're going to do it yourself and build your own shows. Projectionmappingacademy.com is a good one-stop shop for taking online courses for projection mapping. And on there, there's ones for DaVinci and Adobe After Effects. We have a great community on Facebook in the Holiday Projection Mapping group. Great community, lots of support. You can ask any question you have in there, and there's going to be a lot of people there to help you out and be successful with your show. And then holidayprojectionmapping.com as well is a great source for all things projection mapping. There's links on here to courses. There's places where you can find video and picture assets. There's links here to purchase shows. So a bunch of useful information on this website too. Now let's look if you're going to buy a show from somebody, some of the pros. It's not that expensive. Again, when you're spending over $1,000 on a projector, and total hardware costs are going to end up being probably $1,500-ish to $3,500. Like, it can get pretty expensive. So buying a show is not too expensive, especially for the time commitment that the creators have put into it. Saves you a lot of time, especially as we get closer to the holidays. Then you may not have the time to do the learning curve and to build the show and find the assets. And so buying it off the shelf, usually creators can turn it around really quickly and get it back to you. There's also a lot of options. Our community is growing very quickly. And so there's tons of awesome shows and content that you can buy for your house. And then this might be a little cheesy, but it's a great way to support the community too. I'm a big fan of rising tide raises all ships. And the more creators that are out there, there's just more options, more creativity flowing. You look at some of these improv groups where they kind of have somebody starts with an idea and then the next person builds on that idea and then they build on the idea and then it just kind of continues to grow and expand the creativity. And that's what I'm seeing happening in our community. And so as you're purchasing shows from people, you're helping support them in getting more assets, more videos, and I think we all benefit from that. I think that's a big pro. Some of the cons of buying a show: artistic license. You have less flexibility. You can make some requests and some customizations with the person creating your show. The custom work does tend to be more expensive, but in the end, it's still kind of got their artistic look and feel to it. You lose a little flexibility is all. It gets busy around the holidays is another potential con with people that are creating shows for you. I had a lot of requests for shows last year in December for Christmas shows. And so that's not a lot of time to build, especially the custom ones. And so if you're going to depend on buying a show from someone, they may sell out, they may get too busy if you get close to the holidays. So I guess that's just kind of a suggestion too, is that if you're going to buy a show, do it early in the year, and then you'll be able to get it pretty quickly. So those are some of the pros and cons. Some of the creators. jollyholidayshows.com is ours, and the price range on our website is usually between 150 to 450. If we do a custom, then it ends up being more than that. Digitalpressworks.com, kind of the OG of projection mapping. They've been doing this for over a decade. And in fact, let me show you some of these pages. So this is, if I go back to the Jolly Holiday Shows, this is our website. And we've been averaging 2 new shows added to the website a month in 2022. So we're always adding new shows, new content, mostly Halloween and Christmas, but also some of these off holidays too. So got those out there. And then Digital Pressworks, I mentioned, over 10 years. And so he's got tons and tons of content. And so lots of options there. JesterLaughs.com. So I've got his Frozen one on my house. Which link is it? Here we go. I've got this Frozen Elements one on my house of his. So he's a great one. The prices start around $60 to $100 US, and then go on up from there. We've got projectionmappingacademy.com, not only for online courses, but also has some shows that you can purchase. Right. I don't have a tab up for that one, but projectionmappingacademy.com. Let's just pull it up. There we go. We've got the courses here and then houses to purchase too. So they range from about $100 to $200. Got FX Projection. They end up being about $100 a show. Some good ones on there for the holidays, as well as some free content. Fit Studios, his end up being around 200, and he's got kind of those core popular shows that everybody likes. They end up being really popular on their house. Nightmare Before Christmas, Grinch, Haunted Mansion, that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of other creators too, so this is in no particular order. And there's going to be more coming online as this hobby becomes more and more popular. So those are some of the pros and cons. As I kind of hinted at the beginning, it really comes down to time and flexibility. If you want to have the maximum flexibility and you can take the time, then building yourself, you're going to be able to do it exactly the way you want it to. If you don't need that flexibility or you don't have the time, then buying something from one of the creators is a great way to go. And once again, it's not an or. I like to build and buy, so you can get the benefits of both. So let me know any considerations you have in the comments, things that you've seen or observed, and let's see what we can create.